In the 2 years that led up to the great insurrection of January 6th, a team of documentarians, Danish documentarians specifically, were following this man around. And I don't know the documentary team, maybe they agree with them, but I cannot imagine the amount you would have to pay me to get me to spend 2 years following this man around. But thankfully, they did, because they've recorded a lot of extremely interesting takes from Roger Stone during some incredibly important political events. The Washington Post has looked at just 20 hours of the tapes and get a load at some of the things revealed in just this tiny section of what they've recorded. So way back on July 9th, months in advance of the election, he's recorded saying it's going to be really nasty. He predicted that Democrats would try to steal the election. So he said, if the electors show up at the Electoral College, armed guards will throw them out. I'm the president, F you. He's imagining himself there to be Donald Trump. He probably does that quite frequently. You're not stealing Florida, you're not stealing Ohio. I'm challenging all of it. And the judges we're going to are judges I appointed. Well, that's not how it worked out. I can imagine Trump wanting to do it that way, but the legal battle that he fought to overturn the results of the election were far less successful. Now, in the wake of the election, he told an aide to resurrect his Stop the Steal campaign. He predicted to another aide that his brand was about to be, quote, quite a bit hotter. We're gonna raise money from Stop the Steal. It'll be like falling off a log. Just in case you ever forget that at the end of the day, absolutely all of this is about making money. Getting power, sure, but even the power is a means to getting money. It's all grift from top to bottom, it never ends. In any event, a few hours before the attack, a member of the far-right Oath Keepers group who has since pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy, we talked about that in the show earlier this week, was there with Stone. Other rooms in the same hotel were used as a command center by people like Rudy Giuliani. Stone was not a part of the effort, the footage indicates, and he said he feared that top organizers were trying to exclude him from the rally. On the day of the attack, as he packed his bags, he told the filmmakers the riot was a mistake and would be really bad. So this is what we've seen from a lot of the Trump people. Initially, after the violence and the negative reaction to it, they started to, oh God, how is this gonna be perceived? We need to do some damage control. People were actually condemning Trump for the first time. Stone notably, previously, after an aide spoke of driving trucks into crowds of racial justice protesters, bear in mind, they're doing all of this knowing that a documentary film crew has been following them for 2 years. They talk about murdering protesters. Stone said, once there's no more election, there's no reason why we can't mix it up. These people are gonna get what they've been asking for. But the thing is, as I alluded to, the immediate aftermath was one thing. As soon as things cooled off and they realized, oh, the MAGA base is not turning on us over this. They wanted the riot to go further. They might have said in the moment that it was Antifa, but they wanted it to go further. He was right back to denying the election and trying to overturn it. So that's just from a few hours of the tape. God only knows what's going to be revealed. But Anna, I'll start with you. What do you think about Roger Stone's adventures in filmmaking?
Well, I think that the Trump administration, Trump specifically, pardoning all sorts of criminals and creating this environment of impunity for the worst people in society made him feel overly confident, really. And I'm happy for that. I mean, look, I don't think that the January 6th panel is really gonna do anything to hold Trump accountable. I don't think he's ever gonna see the inside of a jail cell. However, it's very real that someone like Roger Stone could end up in prison if there is evidence that he engaged in any criminality related to January 6th, any type of fraud related to the election. So we'll see how it plays out. But I love that it appears that Roger Stone and other goons like him felt like entitled to breaking the law with absolutely no consequences. That is the environment and the climate that Donald Trump created. And he might have been doing us a favor in that regard, because now there could be some consequences for, again, like some of the worst people tied to him.
It's astonishing, actually. One of the things that's just sort of been so jarring for me over the last several years since the rise of Trump, is just how brazen he and his goons are about just saying like it's our judges do our bidding, right? If I had been in charge of invading Iraq, I would have stolen all the oil.
Yeah.
I could kill anyone on wherever you said in the middle of New York City, Fifth Avenue. And I think that there's something in all of that kind of, I just sort of process all of that, and I think it's very telling of that these powerful figures can say this stuff so openly and get away with it, and also have a significant electoral base. I mean, in Trump's case, right? So when I think about all of that, it's I think there's something more fundamental about our politics, about our country, about the hypocrisy of Democrats, about so many of the other stories we've talked about, American hypocrisy and kind of the smug, kind of sanctimonious thing that we do to the rest of the world. And to the point about the January 6th commission that Anna was making, yeah, I agree, Anna. Also, what's going to happen with the midterm elections if Kevin McCarthy's the Speaker of the House? Like, is that commission just done for? Is that another big waste of time?
I think the chances are very high. Anna?
What do you think, Anna? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that frustrates me about people who still get excited about these headlines. Like, there was a headline recently, we talked about it on the show earlier this week, where it was presented as, ooh, the committee, they found evidence of Trump's criminality. And the headline was written in a way that would make someone think that Trump is gonna end up behind bars. I'm sorry to put a damper on something that we're all hoping for. It's just not gonna happen. I think a lot of what's happening with this panel is political. I think it's being done for political reasons. That's not to say that I don't believe that what Trump did was wrong. That's not to say that there isn't criminality involved. But when it comes to actually implementing real consequences, the Democrats always fall short, and they've had a long history of that. And we gave the example of Obama after he had a super majority in Congress and had the ability to prosecute the Bush administration for the war crimes that it committed, and he refused to do it. He wanted to look forward. He didn't want to look backward. So they talk a big talk, much like Trump did with Hillary Clinton and how he's going to lock her up. They talk a big talk for political reasons, but at the end of the day, when it comes to carrying out real consequences for the evildoers, that never really happens.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.